August 15th, 2025. 0200 hours, Central Daylight Time. The Gulf of Mexico churns under tropical storm Helena, 40 nautical miles southwest of New Orleans. Mexican Navy corvette armed Durango cuts through 12-foot swells at 18 knots, her radar sweeping the storm-darkened waters. Captain Miguel Herrera grips the bridge rail as his ship rolls hard to starboard. Spray washing over the forward deck. USS Montgomery, a Freedom-class littoral combat ship, maintains station 12 miles to the northeast. Commander Sarah Chen studies the radar display, watching multiple surface contacts blur in the storm clutter. Contact bearing 270, range 14,000 yards and closing, reports Petty Officer Martinez. Chen adjusts her night vision, trying to pierce the rain-lashed darkness. The Durango's SPS-55 surface search radar paints an unclear picture through the storm interference. Possible contact, bearing 090, estimated range 15 kilometers, calls out Lieutenant Rodriguez. Captain Herrera moves to the radar console, his weathered face tense with concentration. The storm has been building for 6 hours, turning routine patrol into a navigation nightmare. Montgomery's ANSPS-77 radar struggles against the heavy precipitation return. Sir, contact is maintaining course and speed, Martinez reports, his voice strained over the howling wind. The littoral combat ship's aluminum hull shudders as another massive wave crashes over the bow. Commander Chen orders a course adjustment to 080, trying to maintain safe separation. Both vessels operate under restricted visibility protocols, their running lights barely penetrating the storm. The Durango's crew of 93 sailors battle seasickness as the corvette pitches violently. Seaman Alvarez retches into a bucket while manning his station, determination overriding his discomfort. Below deck, the ship's CODAD propulsion system strains against the turbulent seas. Montgomery's crew of 75 fights their own battle against the elements. Lieutenant Commander Brooks monitors the ship's MTU diesel engines, their rhythm steady despite the pounding. Engineering reports all systems nominal, he calls to the bridge over the intercom. The Freedom-class vessel's shallow draft makes her particularly susceptible to the storm's fury. At 0215 hours, both ships detect each other simultaneously on radar. The Durango's tactical action officer estimates the unknown contact at 12,000 meters. Unknown vessel appears to be military configuration, he reports to Captain Herrera. Herrera orders an increase in radar sweep rate, seeking clearer target discrimination. Commander Chen studies the approaching contact with growing concern. Range now 11,000 yards, bearing steady, Martinez announces. The radar signature suggests a corvette-sized vessel, possibly foreign military. Chen moves to the communication station, preparing to establish radio contact. The storm reaches peak intensity at 0220 hours. Wind speeds exceed 60 knots, creating dangerous sea conditions for both vessels. Visibility drops to less than 500 meters in the driving rain. Both ships rely entirely on their radar systems for navigation and collision avoidance. Contact now at 10,000 meters, maintaining intercept course, reports the Durango's radar operator. Captain Herrera feels ice forming in his stomach as the tactical picture develops. His corvette, armed with an Otto Melara 76mm gun, prepares for potential engagement. The ship's Mk-15 Phalanx close-in weapons system remains in standby mode. Montgomery's weapons officer checks the readiness of their 57mm Mk-110 gun. The ship's rolling airframe missile launcher stands ready despite the challenging weather. All weapons systems report ready, comes the call from the Combat Information Center. Commander Chen authorizes battle stations, her crew moving with practiced efficiency. At 0225 hours, the Durango attempts radio contact on international distress frequency. Unknown vessel bearing 090, this is Mexican Navy vessel Durango. Please respond. Static and storm interference garble the transmission beyond recognition. Captain Herrera orders the signal repeated on multiple frequencies. Montgomery receives fragmented radio traffic, but cannot decode the message clearly. Possible Spanish language transmission, sir, reports Communications Specialist Johnson. The storm's electrical activity creates severe radio interference across all frequencies. Commander Chen authorizes a response transmission, hoping to establish clear communication. Both vessels continue on converging courses at 0230 hours. Range decreases to 8,000 meters as the storm intensifies further. The Durango's lookouts strain to spot running lights through the rain and spray. Visibility conditions deteriorate to near zero as the hurricane-force winds increase. Montgomery's forward lookout reports possible navigation lights dead ahead. Visual contact, bearing 088, estimated range 4,000 yards, he shouts over the wind. Commander Chen rushes to the bridge wing, her binoculars useless in the blinding storm. The tactical situation develops rapidly as both ships close the distance. Captain Herrera orders an emergency course change to starboard at 02:35 hours. The Durango's helmsman struggles with the wheel as massive waves push the corvette off course. The ship's gyro compass spins wildly in the magnetic anomaly created by the storm. Navigation becomes increasingly difficult as electronic systems suffer interference. Montgomery attempts a port turn to avoid the approaching contact. The littoral combat ship's advanced control systems fight against the storm's powerful currents. "Helm not responding properly, sir," calls the quartermaster, panic creeping into his voice. The Freedom-class vessel's shallow draft works against her in the heavy seas. Range closes to 6,000 meters at 0240 hours. Both ships' crews realize the gravity of their situation as collision becomes imminent. The Durango's bridge team works frantically to establish positive vessel identification. Storm conditions prevent effective visual recognition of national markings or hull numbers. Contact showing characteristics of American littoral combat ship, reports the Durango's intelligence officer. Captain Herrera's face hardens as he processes this critical information. The political implications of a collision with a U.S. Navy vessel flash through his mind. Border tensions between Mexico and the United States have escalated in recent months. Commander Chen receives similar identification from her intelligence specialists. "Sir, contact appears to be Mexican Navy corvette-class vessel," reports the tactical coordinator. The diplomatic ramifications of this encounter weigh heavily on her decision-making process. Recent maritime disputes in the Gulf of Mexico add complexity to the tactical situation. At 0245 hours, range decreases to 4,000 meters. Both vessels attempt simultaneous course corrections in the same direction. The Durango swings hard to port, while Montgomery turns to starboard. Storm currents and wind push both ships into each other's projected path. Panic spreads through both crews as collision becomes unavoidable. The Durango's damage control teams race to emergency stations below deck. Watertight doors slam shut throughout the corvette as sailors prepare for impact. Captain Herrera grips the bridge rail, his knuckles white with tension. Montgomery's crew secures for collision at 0248 hours. Damage control parties position themselves throughout the ship's critical compartments. Lieutenant Commander Brooks coordinates emergency procedures from his engineering station. The reality of international incident looms over every crew member's thoughts. "Range 2,000 meters and closing rapidly," calls the Durango's tactical officer. Captain Herrera makes the fateful decision to fire a warning shot. The corvette's 76mm gun traverses to starboard, elevating to safe angle. "Fire warning shot, high angle, well clear of target," he orders grimly. The Durango's main gun erupts at 0250 hours. A single high-explosive round arcs through the storm, tracer visible in the darkness. The muzzle flash illuminates the Mexican corvette briefly against the black sky. The round impacts harmlessly in the water, 1,000 meters ahead of Montgomery. Commander Chen's blood runs cold as she witnesses the gun flash. "Hostile fire! Hostile fire!" screams the lookout over the tactical communication system. The bridge erupts in controlled chaos as combat protocols engage automatically. "All stations, weapons free, prepare to return fire," Chen orders through gritted teeth. Montgomery's 57mm gun system comes online within seconds. The Mk-110 gun mount swivels toward the Mexican corvette's position. "Target locked, range 1,800 meters," reports the weapons control officer. The American crew prepares to engage in the first naval combat in decades. The Durango's crew watches in horror as the American gun mount turns toward them. "They're targeting us," shouts Lieutenant Rodriguez, his voice cracking with stress. Captain Herrera realizes his warning shot has been interpreted as hostile action. The situation spirals beyond diplomatic control as both ships prepare for battle. At 0252 hours, Montgomery fires her first warning shot. The 57mm round screams through the storm at hypersonic velocity. The tracer round passes 100 meters off the Durango's starboard beam. Both crews now face the reality of potential combat engagement. "They've returned fire," reports the Durango's gunnery officer, his hands shaking. Captain Herrera faces an impossible decision in the space of heartbeats. International law and naval tradition demand he protect his vessel and crew. The storm continues to rage around both ships as tension reaches breaking point. Montgomery's tactical action officer reports target solution locked and ready. "Sir, recommend immediate engagement before they can bring more weapons to bear," he urges. Commander Chen weighs the consequences of starting the first U.S.-Mexico naval conflict. Her finger hovers over the weapons authorization key as seconds tick by. The Durango's crew loads high explosive ammunition into their main gun. "Target locked, ready to engage," calls the gunnery control petty officer. Storm conditions make accurate fire control extremely challenging for both vessels. Range continues to close as neither ship can effectively maneuver clear. At 02:55 hours, catastrophic navigation failure occurs simultaneously. Both ships' GPS systems lose satellite lock due to storm interference. The Durango's gyro compass fails completely, leaving her navigationally blind. Montgomery's inertial navigation system provides erratic readings in the magnetic storm. "We've lost all navigation references," reports Montgomery's navigation officer desperately. The storm's electromagnetic effects have corrupted their primary guidance systems. Commander Chen realizes both ships are now operating on visual navigation alone. Collision becomes increasingly inevitable as maneuvering options disappear. Captain Herrera faces the same navigation crisis aboard the Durango. "All electronic navigation systems showing failure," confirms his navigation officer. The Mexican corvette maintains course based solely on magnetic compass readings. Storm-induced magnetic variation makes even compass navigation unreliable. Range closes to 1,000 meters at 02:57 hours. Both ships fire simultaneous warning shots in desperation. The Durango's 76mm round passes 50 meters over Montgomery's superstructure. Montgomery's 57mm shell screams past the Mexican corvette's bridge. The exchange of fire creates panic among both crews. "We're under attack," screams a young sailor aboard Montgomery. The Durango's crew believes the Americans have initiated hostile action. Commander Chen and Captain Herrera both realize they're losing control of the situation. "Collision imminent. All hands brace for impact," broadcasts throughout both ships. The Durango's damage control officer reports all watertight integrity secured. Montgomery's engineering spaces prepare for potential flooding and power loss. Both crews face the possibility of dying in an accidental international incident. At 02:59 hours, the inevitable occurs. Montgomery's bow strikes the Durango's port quarter at combined speed of 35 knots. The impact creates a thunderous crash audible even over the storm's howling. Metal screams against metal as both hulls buckle under the tremendous force. The collision tears a 15-meter gash in the Durango's port side. Seawater pours into 3 compartments as damage control teams respond. The Mexican corvette lists immediately to port as flooding begins. Captain Herrera orders emergency pumping and counter-flooding procedures. Montgomery's reinforced bow crumples, but maintains watertight integrity. The littoral combat ship's aluminum superstructure absorbs much of the impact energy. Several crew members suffer injuries from the violent collision forces. Commander Chen orders immediate damage assessment from all departments. Both ships remain locked together momentarily before storm waves separate them. The Durango's 76mm gun mount suffers damage from the impact. Montgomery's forward missile launcher shows structural stress fractures. Neither vessel can continue effective combat operations in their current condition. "Mayday, mayday. This is Mexican Navy vessel Durango," broadcasts Captain Herrera. The corvette's communications officer transmits emergency distress signals. Storm interference still prevents clear communication with shore stations. The Durango begins taking on water faster than pumps can handle. Commander Chen authorizes emergency assistance to the damaged Mexican vessel. "Prepare rescue and assistance teams," she orders despite the tactical situation. Maritime tradition overrides political considerations in life-threatening situations. Montgomery's crew prepares damage control equipment for transfer. The storm begins to subside slightly at 03:15 hours. Wind speeds decrease to 40 knots, allowing improved visibility. Both crews can finally assess the full extent of collision damage. The The Durango lists 12 degrees to port, her condition critical. "We're taking on water in 3 compartments," reports the Durango's damage control officer. Captain Herrera realizes his ship may not survive without immediate assistance. The corvette's pumping systems strain against the incoming floodwater. 93 lives depend on successful damage control efforts. Montgomery maintains structural integrity despite bow damage. Her damage control teams report manageable flooding in 2 forward compartments. The littoral combat ship retains full power and propulsion capability. Commander Chen decides to remain nearby to assist the damaged Mexican vessel. At 0330 hours, the first rescue helicopter arrives from New Orleans. The U.S. Coast Guard. MH-65. Dolphin struggles through residual storm conditions. Radio communications finally clear enough for effective coordination. Both commanding officers must now explain their actions to higher authority. The Durango's crew begins emergency evacuation procedures for non-essential personnel. 30 sailors prepare for helicopter rescue as the corvette's condition worsens. Captain Herrera makes the difficult decision to abandon his sinking command. The Mexican Navy will lose its first vessel to combat action since World War II. Montgomery takes the Mexican corvette under tow at 0400 hours. The heroic rescue effort prevents total loss of the damaged vessel. Commander Chen's decision to assist former adversaries demonstrates naval professionalism. The incident transforms from combat engagement to humanitarian rescue operation. Dawn breaks over the Gulf of Mexico at 0630 hours. Both vessels limp toward New Orleans under Coast Guard escort. The storm has passed, leaving clear skies and calm seas. News media helicopters circle overhead, broadcasting the dramatic scene worldwide. The collision creates immediate international diplomatic crisis. Mexican president condemns the U.S. Navy's aggressive actions in territorial waters. American Secretary of Defense denies any intentional hostile action occurred. Both nations demand full investigation into the unprecedented naval incident. Congressional hearings begin within 48 hours of the collision. Commander Chen faces career-ending scrutiny over her tactical decisions. Captain Herrera becomes a national hero for his crew's survival. The incident strains U.S.-Mexico relations to breaking point. Maritime investigators from both nations examine wreckage and radio recordings. Storm conditions and equipment failures complicate determination of fault. Neither side can prove intentional aggressive action by the other. The incident remains controversial years after the collision. The Gulf of Mexico incident fundamentally alters naval protocols for both fleets. New communication procedures prevent similar misunderstandings during storms. International maritime law requires revision to address modern warfare scenarios. The near miss with actual combat reshapes regional security arrangements. Both commanding officers receive mixed recognition for their actions. Chen's decision to assist the Mexican vessel earns humanitarian commendation. Herrera's crew survival techniques become standard Mexican Navy training. Neither officer faces court-martial, but both careers suffer permanent damage. The Durango undergoes extensive repairs in American shipyards. Montgomery receives new bow section and upgraded communication systems. Both vessels return to service with enhanced safety equipment. The incident becomes a case study in naval academies worldwide. Regional tensions persist long after the physical damage heals. Mexican maritime patrols increase dramatically in disputed waters. U.S. Navy implements new rules of engagement for close encounters. The Gulf of Mexico becomes a symbol of accidental warfare's dangers. Historical analysis reveals the incident's true significance years later. Neither nation intended combat, yet both nearly initiated naval warfare. Modern military technology proved inadequate against natural forces. Human judgment under extreme stress determined the final outcome. The collision demonstrates how quickly peaceful operations become combat situations. International maritime law struggles to address 21st century realities. Both crews performed with honor under impossible circumstances. The incident serves as a warning for future naval operations. The Gulf of Mexico collision remains classified in many details. Full radio transcripts and damage assessments stay under seal. Neither government admits fault in the international incident. The truth may never be completely revealed to public scrutiny. Hurricane season 2025 becomes synonymous with near warfare. Maritime insurance rates increase dramatically in the Gulf region. Commercial shipping avoids the area during storm conditions. The economic impact exceeds the military significance of the collision. Both nations eventually sign new maritime cooperation agreements. Joint training exercises prevent similar misunderstandings in future storms. The incident transforms enemy action into alliance building. Professional respect develops between formerly antagonistic naval forces. The legacy of August 15th shapes naval doctrine for decades. Storm combat becomes a specialized training requirement worldwide. Electronic navigation backup systems receive mandatory implementation. International communication protocols undergo complete revision. 10 years later, neither victory nor defeat can be claimed. Both ships survived their violent encounter through crew professionalism. The storm claimed no lives, despite bringing nations to war's edge. History remembers courage under fire rather than national triumph.